Hi, this is Stan Fitzgerald with Veterans for America First, representing our partnership firm, The Vet Voice. Thank you, Shane Bouvet, for giving us access to your author to give the public a little bit of a preview of your story. Please follow Shane on social media. You can't miss him. He's the guy wearing the Team Trump jacket. We've done a couple interviews with Shane's author. I conducted one that had some technical difficulties. Angie Wong, who is a professional journalist, did one recently. I think we're going to keep that in the can, so to speak, and put that out later when it gets closer to Shane's book tour. And we're going to reach out and have Angie work with Shane in person to bring you a more professional, complete series with Shane. So right now, I'm going to present to you what I did. It's going to have to be edited. We recorded it, and while it recorded David's voice, my voice was not recorded, so it's not going to look right as we're playing the video for you, but I'm going to fill in with questions. I don't think it was needed to be redone because we're not trying to be a professional studio. Uh, at Veterans for America First, we are all real people like Shane. You know, a lot of us are just working blue collar people, and that's who we are. And, you know, we don't pretend to be anybody we're not. I'm not trying to be a politician. I'm not trying to be a journalist. I'm just trying to help save America, as is everybody with Veterans for America First. And we appreciate everybody that's starting to watch us. We're picking up a big following, and we appreciate it if you go one step further and subscribe. So sit back and enjoy this little story about Shane and his relationship with the president, and understand that we're just doing the best we can. There's some glitches in there, but I think it's going to come out okay. Thanks so much for following us and subscribe.
Hey, Don, you have a great guy here. You take good care of him. He's going to take care of you, actually, I think, right? You just take care of yourself, Don. If I can do something, you let me know, okay? Okay, good. Take care of yourself. Here's Shane.
Oh, I can't even believe it. I love you. I'll call you back. Yeah.
God bless. God bless you.
Sure. Shane met the president through kind of a long sequence of events, and I'll try to make as brief as possible. His family has a long history of doing volunteer work and community service, and Shane chose the Trump campaign as something that he connected with and something that would make a difference in his community. He worked in the mines, factories, and he saw all the disaster that came with past administrations, even though he was a supporter of President Obama. But when he saw and heard what President Trump said, he decided he wanted to support his campaign. So he worked very hard. He was the king of memes. He developed a huge social media presence, and he did door knocking. He got bit by a pit bull. He went everywhere, just all out. And if you know Shane, whenever he gets into something, he focuses and he goes and goes and goes. And that's what he did. At one point, he went to a Trump rally, waited 18 hours to get in because he wanted to get the best seat so he could meet President Trump. At the rally, he rushed up to him at the end of the rally and said, "I'm Shane Bouvet. Can you sign some stickers for me and sign a hat? And I waited 18 hours outside to see you." And President Trump, or at the time, candidate Trump said, "You waited 18 hours to see me?" And he said, "Yeah, yes, sir, I did." "I can't believe you waited 18 hours. So he signed the things for him, went on to other people, came back, and he said, "I still can't believe you waited 18 hours. And Shane said, "You and I are going to be best friends." And President Trump said, "You never know, do you?" And he went on. So Shane continued with his service, and through his Facebook connections, after President Trump won the election, he was a woman named Lisa Christensen gave him her extra ticket to go to the inauguration. And he was thrilled to accept it. However, it was short notice, and he didn't have a suit. He didn't have the shoes. He didn't have so one of his friends who had run for office and was into politics said, "You know what, I'm going to buy you the suit, and we're going to call the company that makes shoes for the inauguration and see if they'll donate a pair of shoes to you, and we're going to get you there." because it was black tie. He had to have some, and it's not that he couldn't afford it. It was like short notice. And so anyway, they got it all situated, and he went to the inauguration. But prior to that, there was an article in the State Journal, Illinois State Journal, about him going and about him being a supporter and serving and so on. And that ultimately got picked up by the Washington Post, and he ended up on the cover of the Washington Post. So that alone was huge. He didn't expect it. President Trump saw it, had his assistant Hope Hicks call him and said, how did this guy get on? He's a Trump supporter and he's on the cover of the Washington Post. How did that happen? Call this guy. He said, I've never been on the cover of the Washington Post. And this guy, he says, this is great. This is amazing. So President Trump, or President-elect Trump at the time, gave him VIP of VIP tickets as a gift to thank him for his service. Shane did not know he was going to meet him, but he did meet him at right before the inaugural concert, and the Secret Service dragged him back, and he didn't know what was going on. He was scared, and he was in tears and everything because he was so terrified. And they pulled him in a room with Trump, and Shane was so excited, he gave him a big bear hug and smacked him in the butt. and it just went from there. It was just a wonderful half-hour meeting where they got to know each other. And President Trump gave Shane $10,000 to pay his father's medical bills, his high deductibles that he knew he would have because of Obamacare, and because his dad had bladder cancer. So, and he called his dad during this half-hour meeting and chatted with his dad. So it was just a wonderful gift. And Shane really didn't want to take it at first because he was just offered. He said, look, you did great service for me. I want to give you some money. And Shane said, no way. It was volunteer service. But he said, I will take it to pay my dad's medical bills. So that worked out fine. And then after that, Shane really didn't hear much from the president for about a year. And through an article in another magazine, he ended up, the writer of that article ended up writing an email that just got their attention. And Shane and his father went back to the White House to thank the president personally for the $10,000. And they wanted to just spend a couple minutes, get a picture and thank him and leave. And they went there, and it ended up they ended up being with him for about a half a day because it was a really bad day, and they connected incredibly well, and they just talked and talked and talked. And, you'll have to read the book, but it goes from there. They continue having a billionaire president who picks up the phone at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and calls a single father, blue collar coal miner at 3 o'clock in the morning to say, how's your kids doing? How's your dad doing? How's your mom? And really, I mean, they don't talk politics. It's like the discussions are all about being friends, and you read the book, but you see, why does this happen? And what do people really, even if you're a billionaire president, you still have human needs like everyone else. And this book reveals how everyone, no matter who you are, has human needs, and that there are so many different ways if you step a little bit outside the box to get those fulfilled. Another important theme is identity. So many people today have no idea who they are, and as a result, they're on Prozac and they're filled with anxiety. Shane's family, they have a long history of community service, service within the mining industry. His grandfather worked in the coal mines. His great-grandfather worked in the coal mines in France, and they all served the community. And Shane continues, and this stuff continues on and on. Shane's grandfather actually met Ronald Reagan, and they became friends and had discussions. Shane did not know about it because his grandfather kept it very hush. He didn't want anyone to know about it. But his dad eventually did tell him about that after he met President Trump because he thought it would be important. But there's all kinds of fun things like that in the book. And one thing I will say is that I wrote this book so that a liberal who absolutely hates Donald Trump can read the book and enjoy it. And they do. I've had it tested by several, and they say, I really like this Shane guy. And I just want to keep reading to see what's going to happen to him next. So that was that grabbed them. And the other thing they said is, I really hate Donald Trump, but that was a really nice thing that he did for Shane's dad. And so it kind of opens some doors for a little bit of unity. And it opens them not in politics, it opens them through two people coming together as friends. So you see Donald Trump as a human interacting with another human in a friendship that people can get, because we all have friends, and there's all challenges. Sometimes our friends are in a little different position, different place than we are, and we work those things out. So that was what they grabbed onto and said, this is real. This is a real friendship. I can relate and I can believe in it. Yeah, Shane told me that he was the president had invited him back to DC at one point. There was it was a charity fundraiser, baseball game of some sort. And I think and the president called Shane and said, come, I'm on Air Force One and I'm leaving, but I want to say hi. And he said, and can you bring Wendy's? So he said, bring Wendy's for me, the crew. He said, I really need some Wendy's. So Shane goes and gets a Wendy's and takes it. And they all, open up their paper hamburgers and stuff. And they ate on Air Force One and chatted and talked about their kids and, and just had a nice time. There's no way we can give it away in a 15-minute interview. There's a lot in there. There's so many fun stories about how the two of these people connected, and it's it's just fun. I've had such a great time writing it. I publish magazines. I have a publishing company in Wheeling, West Virginia, and this is actually the first book that I've done. And I saw Shane struggling to get this book done, and I knew the story because I had talked to him once before on the phone. I met him on Facebook, and and I messaged him, and he called me, and we ended up chatting about this whole thing. And I right away came up with ideas on what I would do with this book. So, and he had some other people working on it that for different circumstances couldn't come through with it. And there isn't a lot of money in books. So it's kind of, this is more of I just love the story, and I think it's so important for people to hear it, especially as I mentioned earlier with identity, because this is two people who know who they are. And you see the results of that. And that's one of the things that they connect over, is they're people who know who they are. People who don't know who they are, don't know where they came from, don't know their roots, I think it's harder for them to connect with people because they don't know who they are themselves. So you see that there's so many of these themes in there that I think anyone can read and say, I like that. I like how these two people interacted. I like how they solved this particular issue. So it's something, it's not a book that takes, it's a book that gives. Yes. Yeah, definitely follow Shane on Facebook, just Shane Bouvet. That's Bouvet, Shane, Shane. He had an account with thousands and like 400,000 followers, and it got hacked and destroyed. So he's in the process of rebuilding that. But he puts out the most wonderful memes that I just love having them pop up on my computer because they make me feel better, and they're not intense, nasty political fighting memes. They're just, he says things that are encouraging and make you think a little bit. And I mean, he's just a coal miner guy, but he comes up with really cool stuff. So, and you'll see that throughout the book, just all the way. And I think President Trump latched on to that. And I'll tell you, in their first meeting, and this is a little bit unusual, and Shane was a little set back by this. President Trump looked at him and said, "I love you like a son." And he had just met him. They had spent probably 15, 20 minutes together at that point. And Shane later in a conversation with his dad said, "Dad, I don't know what to think about that. I mean, the president of the United States are about to be inaugurated in the next day that says he loves me like a son." And his dad's asking, "Well, what was the room like?" And his dad's very intuitive. His dad's a veteran, by the way. Very important to note that. And his dad and Shane said, "You know what? There was just this energy in the room. It was like a positive, wonderful, positive energy. It was just so warm and welcoming." And he said it was not any one person in the room. It was not Melania. It was not Steve Bannon. It was not President Trump. It was just the energy of the room. And his dad said, "You know what? I think President Trump he got caught up in that energy just like you did. You all were caught up." He said, "Yes, absolutely. We're all caught up in this energy." And he said, maybe that's why he said that. But he said, "You know what? I think there's some truth that he's not joking. There's something he might not know at that point why he loves you like a son, but he does. And he's about to discover over time why that's the case."
Okay, so I think that first majority of the interview went okay, even though you couldn't hear my questions. It was self-explanatory. In this last segment, I had asked the author to tell us about the funny story with the Secret Service. They sort of played a prank on Shane, and that's how this wraps up.
Yes. So Shane was absolutely hounded by reporters. I mean, and everyone wanted to know who he was and how he got where he was. And then some people, "Oh, he was the guy on the cover of the Washington Post." And, everyone that you get in those things, everyone's sizing each other up. Who has what, why are you there? And he decided to do a Facebook Live. So he holds it up and he's doing a quick Facebook Live. And the Secret Service come over and grab him at that point. And he said he thought he was in trouble. He said, "I'm so sorry. I didn't know I wasn't allowed to do it." And they didn't say anything to him. They just said, "Come with us. Come with us. We're going over here." And they have, he is paraded by men with machine guns, and he is absolutely in tears. He's like, "I can't afford an attorney to get out of this. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do it." And they're just letting him go. So they said, "Go down that hallway, turn left and go in that door." So he goes down the hallway, turns left. He looks in there and there's President Trump, and he starts, "I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. I'll go the other way." And President Trump looks at him and says, "Shane, you are the celebrity. Get in here." And of course, that's when Shane gives him the hug and smacks him in the butt. And they went, yeah. I think one more thing I'll say. I think the fact that Shane gave the president a bear hug instinctively, it was just his instinctive reaction, gave him a bear hug and smacked him in the butt. I think the president said, "This guy is real. He's treating me just like his buddies back in Stonington." And I think that's what set the stage for all this to continue.